Africa is literally airlifting wildlife across the continent. Cargo planes, elephants on helicopters, rhinos in travel crates, all marked live cargo handled with care. Sound unreal? It's not. It's 2025's biggest environmental comeback story, a pan-African operation moving thousands of wild animals back to the lands they were stolen from. And for once, these flights aren't exporting ivory or hides, they're importing hope. We're talking herds of elephants from South Africa to Malawi, lions from reserves in Namibia to Mozambique, and even rhinos returning to countries that hadn't seen one in over 30 years. It's called the Rewilding Corridor Initiative. And it's Africa saying, we want our animals back, cross-country, beautiful ecosystem. And guess who's the lifeblood of this operation? Park rangers. So let's check it out.
Being a ranger is more than just a job for me.
I get to preserve our natural heritage.
I have become an ambassador in our conservancy.
The biggest challenge is physical danger from wildlife, poachers, and harsh environments.
But I stay strong because I know my workmate.
World Ranger Day gives us an opportunity to show appreciation to our rangers,
to honor bravery and sacrifice.
When you recognize the person that takes care of animals, it inspires a lot of people.
Conservation is not a one-man show.
It is for all of us.
We should learn to coexist with wildlife.
Let's all work together to protect what we have now.
For our generation and also our future generation.
MashaAllah. So guys, across the 1900s, right, Africa lost millions of animals to colonial hunting, habitat loss, and the global zoo trade, right? So by conservative counts, over 15,000 wild African animals from lions to giraffes, chimpanzees, and gorillas were exported to foreign zoos and circuses, right? So by 2020, roughly 60% of elephants in Western zoos and 80% of lions in captivity came from African bloodlines, right? That's not conservation. That's extraction with profit for a smile, right? But the story flipped in 2024 when the African Parks Network, with the support from the African Union Environmental Commission, or WWF Africa, and several national governments launched the continent's largest rewilding effort ever, right? So phase one was relocating 2,000 elephants, 600 zebras, 300 buffalo, 900 lions, and dozens of endangered black rhinos, right? Across 4 countries. So it was South Africa, Zambia, Malawi, and Mozambique. And phase 2 starts in 2026, right? So the idea here is that they're going to expand the corridor into the Congo Basin and Rwanda's Nyungwe Forest, right? So the funding is mostly African. Private investors, conservation boards, tourism revenue, not dependency dollars, right? So I want you guys to check out this next video and let's see if we can get it up and running, because this is going to give you an idea of what it takes to relocate these animals, right?
At daybreak, an impressive operation is already underway. Over 80 people, a helicopter and several trailers have been mobilized to capture the wildebeests.
Yeah, we're just having a look at all the curtains, if they're working and if they're not catching on anything on the ground. And then we're just putting everything in place. Japie, jy gaan die skeidings oorpak, nee?
Lawrence Delunga, the coordinator of South African Parks, is seeing to the last details. In order to steer 100 wildebeest towards the lorries, the teams built what they call a boma, a gigantic funnel-shaped corridor that leads to the trailers.
Timothy, if you can just start the day for us, please. Please remember, these animals are dangerous. We've seen it in the past. They will come for you, all right? Especially the wildebeest. We're only planning to do blue wildebeest. Grant, Lawrence. Doing well. I'm just briefing the guy, then we're good to go.
The real challenge lies in driving entire herds inside, without leaving behind small, isolated groups. On the ground, things aren't necessarily happening as expected. The wildebeest are stubborn, and they refuse to rush into the boma. Lorenz dives in. It's a dangerous situation. Wildebeests are quite capable of goring a human. The ambush teams finally receive the go-ahead to close the boma.
All right, guys. So you guys get the point, right? When people hear about animal relocation, so many times they imagine Western scientists in khaki giving orders while locals carry out the orders, right? And many of these missions are scaling towards being 100% African-led. So pilots in Kenya, veterinarians from Zambia, ecologists from Malawi, funding partially from African parks and community tourism cooperatives, ownership being shared with the locals, and communities surrounding different parks, holding equity and tourism income, right? So this is deeper than wildlife, right? It's reversing the export economy of colonialism, right? So for centuries, the elephants, the minerals, and even human labor left the continent, right? So now we're trying to export the expertise to other countries, right? And re-importing life into these individual countries that have been missing out on these vital ecosystems for a long time, right? So the economic impact is ecotourism. The industry is projected to reach 7 billion annually by the year 2030. Regions touched by rewilding saw a 25% increase in local income growth due to visitors patronizing shops, guest houses, and guides, right? Wildlife bonds launched in 2025 by Zambia's Green Capital Fund now trade on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, right? So investors earn if animal populations rise, right? And environmentally, elephants clear overgrown forests, reviving river flow and rainfall cycles. Rhino grazing regenerates savanna grass, feeding antelope and cattle. The predator balance lowers human-wildlife conflict, right? And crop rates down 40%, right? So rewilding these different areas has recorded a 12% rainfall increase. So real climate data, not poetry, right? And the social aspect here is 10,000 plus jobs been created. Rangers, veterinarians, engineers, drone pilots, right? And schools are integrating eco-economics, so teaching how biodiversity equals income, right? There's women-led ranger units patrolling reserves, redefining protection, right? So just imagine telling your mom you got a job and you're relocating lions, right? She's saying, no, you're not. Like, why are you not in a different profession, right? But we need them. They're vital and they're doing important work. So again, these phase 2 expands to 13 different countries under the new Green Air Bridge, right? Botswana and Namibia, linking coastal region migration routes. The African Union 2027 summit plans to ratify a Pan-African conservation visa, right? So rangers can work cross borders, right? Imagine wildlife protection with a passport-free movement, right? Headed in the right direction. So if sustained through the year 2040, 500 million hectares could be restored, carbon credit value hitting 2 billion per year, 30% rise in regional rainfall retention and soil fertility. Entire tourism corridors were branded as the wildlife belt, right? So let's pause the applause, and feel the weight of this because it's so much. From 1870 to 1970, Africa's wild animals were seen as trophies, right? So by the 1950s, London zoos alone received more than 3,000 African specimens. Hollywood rented cheetahs for films. European circuses chained gorillas. Each export emptied an ecosystem, the real, cost is totally invisible. We could never totally calculate what was lost. So now those same air routes used for colonial cargo are carrying life back. So this is poetic symmetry here. So tell me what you think. I know that was a lot, guys, but mashallah, that's your African insight for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because here at Mr. Empower TV, we don't chase headlines, we chase the truth behind them. I'm Mr. Empower, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.